Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today I'm talking about my fall TBR, but before we get into that, I'm going to do a recap of my summer TBR and talk about which books I did and didn't read from that TBR. So I had 6 books on my TBR for the summer as per usual, and I read 5 of the 6, so I feel pretty good about that. You know, you would think that I would be able to finish 6 books over the course of 3 months, especially since I read an average of like 10 books a month, but somehow that's too difficult for me. But I read 5 of the 6, so I'm gonna take the wins where I can, and I feel pretty good about that. So the 6 books that were on my TBR for the summer were Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner, Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, and House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. So I'm just gonna go through them in the order that I read them and tell you the star rating that I gave them. If you want to know more about what I thought about each book, I'll link below any videos, whether I have a dedicated review or if I just talked about it in a wrap-up. I'll link those in the description if you want to know more than just the star rating. But first up, in June, I read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, which I gave 3 stars. Then in July, I read The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, which I gave 4 stars, and Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, which I gave 3.5 stars. And in August, I read Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri, which I gave 4 stars, and The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner, which I gave 3 stars. And actually, this video is probably coming out before my August wrap-up, so I won't have the link to that in the description just yet, but that will be coming out very soon, so you're getting a sneak peek of my August wrap-up. So the final book that I did not complete from that TBR was House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. Alright, so now on to my fall TBR. First up, I have Green Rider by Kristen Britton. I feel like I've talked about this book so many times. I've probably put it on other TBRs, and then I never read it. And so I'm going to try one more time to get myself to read it, because I think I'm going to like it. I'm not reading it because I don't think I'm gonna like it. I just, for some reason, keep not getting to it. But now it's on this TBR again, so we're trying again. Anyway, this is an adult high fantasy. It is the beginning of a series, and I have always seen this on lists about books about nature fantasy, which is why I want to read it. So in this, our main character, I think, is on her traveling home from school when she's intercepted by this royal messenger who is about to die, and so he entrusts her with the message that he has and tells her to go deliver it to the king. But it is a very dangerous mission, and so it is about her kind of not knowing what she's gotten herself into, but trying to deliver this message to the king. And as I said, it's supposed to be very foresty and nature fantasy, so I'm excited about that. Next, I have The Circle by Saren B. Elfgren and Matt Strandberg. This is a YA fantasy, like contemporary fantasy, that I think is set in Sweden. This was originally written in Swedish, and then this is an English translation. And this is following, I think, 6 girls who find out that they have magical powers and that there is this like evil force that is trying to come into our world. And so they don't really know each other at the beginning, and so this is about them kind of finding out that they have these powers, learning how to use those powers, and learning how to work together to protect the world from this evil force. The next book on this TBR is A Conspiracy of Truths by Alexandra Rowland. This is an adult high fantasy that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, but I hear kind of mixed things. Some people love it, and some people are very like meh about it. But I always forget what this book is about. I can never for the life of me remember the synopsis, so I'm just gonna read a little part of the blurb on the flap, which says, "In a bleak, far northern land, a wandering storyteller is arrested on charges of witchcraft. Though Chant protests his innocence, he is condemned not only as a witch, but as a spy. His only chance to save himself rests with the skills he has honed for decades. Tell a good story that will catch and hold their attention, or die." So this one, I think, is about storytelling. Not exactly a book about books, but a book about storytelling. Really just as good. So excited for this. Then I have Silent Hall by N.S. Dolkart. This is the first book in the God Surfs series, and I have been meaning to get to this for so long, and this is another one that I always have a really hard time explaining what it's about, so I'm just gonna read the blurb. But it says, after their homeland is struck with a deadly plague, 5 refugees cross the continent searching for answers. Instead, they find Sander, a wizard whose fortress is invisible to the gods and who is willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to keep the knowledge he guards hidden and safe. With Sander as their patron, the refugees cross the mountains, brave the territory of their sworn enemies, confront a hostile ocean, and even traverse the world of the fairies in search of magic powerful enough to save themselves and Sander's library from the wrath of the gods. All they need to do is to rescue an imprisoned dragon and unleash a primordial monster upon the world. How hard could it be? So, I feel like that sounds really good. I am excited about this. I love stuff with gods. It seems like it has a lot of different fantasy things going on. There are gods, there are wizards, there are fairies, there are dragons and primordial monsters. I don't know. But I originally found this one when I was looking for fantasy books that were written by Jewish authors or inspired by Jewish traditions and culture. And I know that the author of this is Jewish, and I read an article that he was interviewed in where he was talking about some of the ways that Jewish culture and traditions had influenced the world building and characters in this like fantasy world. So I'm very excited for that, really hoping to love it. And next up I have Conjure Women by Afia Atakora. I just hauled this in August and I am so excited about this book. I really feel like I'm going to love it. So this is historical fantasy. It is set in post-Civil War Southern United States. We're following 3 women. 2 of them are a mother and daughter, and they have magical powers. They are healers and they can also curse people. The mother is a healer and the daughter does not want to follow in her mother's footsteps and does not want to be a healer, but they find an accursed child or an accursed baby, and that is really what sets off the plot as they and the community have to kind of figure out what they're going to do with this cursed baby. So I'm really hoping to love this one because I have read some really good reviews for it, and obviously it has healing magic in it. So I just hope to love it, and it's such a beautiful cover. I'm so excited about this one, but I'm trying to not like overhype it for myself. And finally, for the 6th book, you guys can vote again on which book you want me to add to my TBR. I tried this for the first time last season for the summer, and I thought it was really fun to see which book you guys were most interested in seeing me read. So I have 3 books here to choose from. The first one is Forest of Souls by Lori M. Lee. I recently hauled this as a 2020 release, which is YA fantasy. It is about this world where there's this like evil forest that holds souls, and there's like a spider king who rules over it. But our main character has been trained as a spy when she discovers that she has a magical power to like communicate with or control souls, and she is the first person in generations to have that power. And so she is sent to the Spider King to help him like deal with this evil soul forest. So hopefully there'd be some good like, you know, foresty vibes to it, and it sounds like it's going to be a little bit dark, maybe a little bit creepy. Next I have The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman. This came out I think in 2019, and so many people were talking about it, and it was being compared left and right to The Raven Cycle. It is a contemporary YA fantasy that is set in this small town. There are these like founding families that founded the town, and so the main characters that we're following are like the descendants of the town's founders. And there is this like creature or something that lives in the forest, and the founding families have to use these like special magical powers they have to control it and protect the town, I think. I'm not totally sure, but I've been meaning to get to this one for so long. I think I've been putting off because it has been so compared to The Raven Cycle that I didn't want to, I don't know, like have to make that comparison so much in my mind. I want to let it be kind of its own thing. And then the last book that you can vote for is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. If you want to make me read this book because I didn't get to it in the summer, you can vote to have me put it back on my TBR. So this is a YA fantasy that is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. I've heard that it's a little dark, a little creepy. That's kind of the theme for all three of these. They're all YA fantasies that are a little dark, a little creepy, good for, you know, autumnal vibes. And this one, as I said, is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. So if you want to force me to read this and put it back on my TBR, then you can vote for this. So once again, the three options to vote for are Forest of Souls, The Devouring Grey, and House of Salt and Sorrows. So there will be a poll on my community tab on my channel. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video, or you can just go to my channel and go to the community tab and there will be a poll there. I'll leave it up for probably like 3 days after posting this video, and then I'll also announce in the community tab which book won the poll. So let me know which one you want me to read, whether you think I will love it or hate it, or if you just want to hear what I think of it before you read it. You can vote for it there. So those are all of the books on my fall TBR. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!